This video is for people who've been watching Breaking Bad but have not yet seen the finale. What are you expecting? What are you hoping for? Vince Gilligan and his writing team have not let us down yet, unless you don't happen to like The Fly. That seems to be a dividing point among the Breaking Bad audience. I love The Fly, a tour de force. And if you're an aficionado of bottle episodes, it's one of the best of its kind. It gives us some insight into what drives Walt. The brilliance of the writing in Breaking Bad is that what happens is continually unexpected, yet it somehow feels when it happens that it's inevitable. It's always rooted in the characters and what we know about them. I'm not going to offer any predictions, but I'll tell you some of my expectations. Breaking Bad likes to open a season with a flash-forward teaser. They show us some incident or image out of context. Its meaning only becomes clear toward the end of the season. And the first half of Season 5, the one they showed last year, opened with Walt buying Chekov's gun, a 60mm machine gun. The second half opened with Walt retrieving Chekov's ricin from his abandoned home. It's safe to say they both will be used, but on whom? We all remember with dread the scene where Skyler's watching Scarface on TV and Walt remarks, "Everyone dies in this movie." Was that a plot summary of the ending of Breaking Bad? Aaron Paul, who plays Jesse Pinkman, has been repeating that line a lot lately. Gilligan and crew and the actors they cast have managed to find us all heavily invested in the fates not only of the major characters, but secondary characters as well. They all have stories. We want to see how they come out. Most fans are probably rooting for Uncle Jack and his neo-nasties to meet a bullet-riddled demise at the hands of Chekov's machine gun. Well, Heisenberg's now. But I expect there's a lot more to the episode than Walt going Rambo. The story has been such an intricate weave of nuance and texture so far, I don't expect Gilligan to betray that in the ending, even if we are in for a bloodbath. Most of us probably want to see Todd meet an appropriately nasty end, but at whose hands? Walt's or Jesse's? Jesse, for all his dark deeds, and they have been dark indeed, retains a lot of audience sympathy. We give him credit for showing remorse. He's been tortured emotionally by Walt, physically by Todd and Jack's crew, and morally by his own conscience. We see that torture as a kind of expiation. We want someone to kill Todd, but do we want Jesse to do it, or do we want to leave that to Walt? There's so many dangling relationships and plot points that want resolution. Skyler and Marie, Walt and his family, Walt and his money, Skyler and the DEA, Flynn, Holly and the future, Brock, Walt and his three sons, Flynn, Todd and Jesse, especially Jesse. We want a final resolution to the Walt and Jesse relationship. We expect it. I'm pretty sure Gilligan will deliver it. Fastidious, bloodthirsty Lydia needs a talking to. She came within moments of being ricinated at the end of the first half of the season. Now we're at the end of the series and Walt has his ricin again. If the ricin is indeed for Lydia, I hope it isn't administered before we see what happens to the creepy Todd and Lydia story. But of all the resolutions that Gilligan and the writers need to deliver, it's the resolution of their own Jekyll and Hyde story. The reconciliation of Walter White, family man, teacher, and Heisenberg, ruthless, murderous drug lord. Walt has already had so many endings this season. The return of his cancer, his collapse when Hank was killed, his shriveling in an isolated cabin in New Hampshire, his rejection by a devastated Walt Jr., and yet his Heisenberg powers forwards, all the more resolute. If you read your Stevenson, you know it didn't end very well at all for Dr. Jekyll. The storytellers in Breaking Bad have created a universe that, very much like Larry David's, requires people pay their karmic debts. The books have yet to be reconciled, something is owed, and there's only one more chance to collect. I'll be back to talk about what happened when we find out what happened. Until next time, I'm Mickeleh.